are not concerned now is what is topmost. We've seen a lot of protests in the country in recent times. Over the weekend, I think there was one in Osun State also, and it's not about the cost of living, and food is at the top of that. We'll have some women who have come together to prefer or suggest some solutions. National Coordinate, Nigerian Women for Agricultural Progress. We're going to be speaking with the National Coordinator, Mrs. Omolara Swemson. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Ms. Omolara, good morning. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. How are you today? I'm
fine, thank you. I hope you are good too. So, food security, I mean, you don't need to even say a whole lot. We know the need. We see the pressing need. It's on the lip of everybody, anybody who lives in Nigeria. What are the women? What are you guys proposing? What do you have to do differently? I know you've been talking a whole lot about the efforts of the government and if it really goes down to the people who really need it to make a change.
Well, the Nigerian Women for Agricultural Progress, we are all about two things. First of all, we now want to speak with one voice and unity, because what we have done is bring together all farmers, women farmers in the nation under one umbrella. This makes it easier for us to reach out to the government and for government interventions to get to the grassroots farmers. Because one of the major reasons why we are where we are today in terms of food insecurity in the nation is because most, if not all, of the government's intervention has not been getting to the grassroots farmers. And you and I know that the major workforce in the agricultural sector, the entire value chain, is about 70 to 80% of women. So what we are doing is to make sure that the government has access directly to the grassroots women in the entire value chain of agriculture, from farming, cultivation, to post-production, to processing, to packaging, to even trading in the market. That is what NWAP is all about.
Okay, but how do you go about this? Because the government will tell you that, I mean, for instance, last week, the president ordered the release of grains, you know, and it's supposed to go to state governors and reach out. So what do you bring to the table that is different? What else do you have to offer?
Well, what we bring to the table is this. Last week, Tuesday, at the Women International Conference Center in Abuja, we had our conference, our first ever national grassroots farmers conference. And we had in attendance about 1,000 women physically and also about 800 grassroots farmers gathering in their clusters, watching from joining from just one of their children or husbands' Android phone to join the movement, you know, to come together as one voice. You know, what has happened in the past, that would help me answer this properly, is that the government had been working with the grassroots farmers through intermediaries, loads of bottlenecks upon bottlenecks. And because of this, the intervention from the government and all the international agencies has actually not been getting to the grassroots farmers, especially the women. And like I said earlier, without the women in agriculture, there is not going to be any changes, positive changes in our situation when it comes to food security in Nigeria. So we are saying we're the grassroots farmers. Forget all of the packaging your studio has given to me and all of that today. We are grassroots farmers. We had over 150 Women in Agricultural Association in Abuja last week for our conference. We had over 69 local government women farmers represented at our convention last week. These are women that do not understand English. We had to speak in Hausa, Fulani, Nape, Igala, Idome, and all of that, Igbo, Yoruba, to relate with these people. These are actually the women that are cultivating the food that you and I goes into the market to buy. And they're the ones that has been sidelined, that has not been getting any support whatsoever from the government or even the agencies. So what we are saying is, look, government, work directly with these women. Especially now, the low-hanging fruit to solve our problem is to make sure that this intervention gets to the grassroots farmers, the women especially, because the rainy season is approaching. In some parts of the nation, they're still doing dry season farming. Both of this season, it's crucial to our survival. If we think that the food is expensive right now in the market, if we don't get it right now, this beginning of season, then we should really buckle up for what is to come in the next 12 months.
Yeah, so I have to tell you, there are other women groups, farmers, you understand, who also say the same thing. How would you expect the government to, because you need to speak, if your group says we want the government to work directly with us, another group says we want, and then another one, you understand, then the government might just decide to do it on its own. So what's the right approach, a workable approach, when you have, women groups springing up? And we understand this because, of course, women are the majority when you talk about small businesses and farming and all of that.
Well, first of all, the government cannot do it on their own to start with. Let's get that clear. And as I said from the beginning, we are now speaking, what has happened in the past is it's been a sort of divide and rule approach in the agricultural sector. That is why we call ourselves Nigerian Women for Agricultural Progress. And I said earlier, last week convention, we were able, over 150 different women associations in agriculture coming together for the first time in the history of Nigeria to say we are speaking with one voice. We had presidents of ginger, cassava, maize, sesame, chili pepper, shea butter, coconuts. Actually one of our regional coordinator we call her Mama Coconut. So we are coming together in one voice. NWAP is for every woman farmer organization in Nigeria. So we are tired of being divided, because our division is what has brought us to this situation we find ourselves. And you'll agree with me that in agriculture, our strength actually is in our unity and in our numbers. So yes, there are a lot of other women associations, but all of these associations, we are coming together to speak under one voice. What this does is the government is able to work with us, the grassroots farmers, directly without having to say, oh, but we worked with this other group last week, this other group is coming up. That's why we're saying we're speaking in one voice under the Nigerian Women for Agricultural Progress.
So are you talking to maybe Ministry of Agri, or is it the Women's Ministry? Do you have any government ministry that you have reached out to?
Oh yes, we had reached out to the Minister of Agriculture. We'd reached out as well to the umbrella body. So the way agriculture works in Nigeria, we have the umbrella body, supposed umbrella body for all farmers association. So all of the associations in Nigeria are supposed to be under the All Farmers Association of Nigeria. We're working hand in hand with them. We've reached out to the ministry, sent out letters to the Minister for Agriculture, Minister for Women Affairs, and even to the mother of the nation, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, to let's come. This is not the time for us to hit the streets and say we're fighting the government, because it is someone that has food in their stomach that can fight, actually. We're saying, let us come to the table. If we on our own, the women, without support of the government or anyone or any politician, can bring together, last week Tuesday, we had women farmers with, physical disability. There's a name for them, people with disability, PWD or something like, We had them from as far as Borno State. They came to Abuja with about 4 vehicles. These are farmers that are farming yaji, farmers that are, that are the real grassroots farmers that can make impact in the output of our food production in the nation. So we've reached out to all the necessary ministries that we're supposed to reach out to, but the primary job that we needed to do was to get all of the associations you referred to, Women Farmers Association you referred to, for us to come together in unity, which we have been able to achieve with the convention we had last week. We had also reached out to the nation umbrella body of All Farmers Association, and we are hoping that with this we'll be able to work with the government to go in the right direction. We can't afford to not get it right with this season that is about to start, the farming season we are about starting.
So the season is of interest. What's the plan? What do you require? What do you want to do? How can we best use this season that's about to start?
Okay, so I say it all the time. The two things that Mr. President has done that is in the right direction, first of all, is to admit that we have food insecurity emergency in the nation, problem absorbed. The second thing that the government needs to do is to restructure the Bank of Agriculture. I have been in the agricultural sector as a commodity exporter for about 2 decades now, right? When you work with the Bank of Agriculture that is supposed to be the intervention bank between the government and the people, it needs to be restructured to be a proper agricultural financing institution. You know, and I'll quickly break that down a bit to the best of my knowledge before as time permits. First of all, say for instance, I'm a farmer. I'd approached the Bank of Agriculture that I have a cluster of cassava farmers, and we are in Fashola in Oyo State. We are about 50 of us. We need 10 million naira to cultivate cassava. Bank of Agriculture is not supposed to dole out the money to me. Bank of Agriculture should have a department, procurement department, whatever English name they want to give to it, that can give us all of the inputs, equipment, chemicals that would allow us cultivate the amount of farmland we have listed in our request. And the only money that should be released as part of the loan should be money that would need for like paying laborers, logistics, and all of that. Because where this problem starts is when the government or Bank of Agriculture or AFDB, whatever, doles out money to the intermediaries, association leaders like myself and all, who do not really understand the importance and how to manage these funds, then it is already a failed project from the beginning. But if we have, like some other countries in the world, have a Bank of Agriculture that is actually a real financing, agricultural financing sector, that if a cluster comes to you and say, look, we process kuli, for instance, and we need 50 million to buy kuli equipment, the Bank of Agriculture gives them the equipment and they pay back for the equipment. As to the Bank of Agriculture giving them the equipment and expecting these farmers to go source for the equipment and buy it, there is a whole lot that goes wrong in this method or system that we've been using before. So the government needs to work quickly with the Bank of Agriculture, do the restructuring, and make sure they work with the women. I mean, I'm not trying to sound, I'm sounding like a woman. I'm talking reality here. The government needs to work with the women farmers. That's just is the truth. Work with the women farmers, restructure the Bank of Agriculture, make inputs available. It's not rocket science. Myself and the rest of the ESCOs, we do it in our private lives, in our locality, to support our farmers. You know, give them this input. For every grassroots farmer, they have one person in their village that has an Android phone.
All right.
Do videos and pictures and send back to us what they've done with the inputs or the money that we have given to them. So if we can do this as private people, why can't the government do it if they work with the right set of people, Nigerian women for agricultural progress in Nigeria, especially if the government is able to restructure the Bank of Agriculture?
All right, so restructuring the Bank of Agriculture is top on your list of requests at this time. Well, thank you so much. We have to thank you so much, Mrs. Omolara Swepson, National Coordinator, Nigerian Women for Agricultural Progress. Good news that the women are working together, but of course, we don't want to leave the men behind, but let's see what the women will come out with. Thank you so much for your time this morning.